They thought you were finished, but heaven was preparing your throne. My beloved child, they looked at your silence and mistook it for surrender. They saw you walking through shadows and thought it was your ending. They laughed as you disappeared from their sight, believing the story was over. But heaven never ends a chapter in darkness. The pause they called failure was heaven's secret rehearsal. Every loss, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer was a throne being built in the unseen. You thought you were being buried, you were being crowned in private. The crown was heavy, so heaven trained your heart before letting the world see it. When they spoke about you in the past tense, angels were speaking your future into being. The hands that pushed you down unknowingly pressed you deeper into purpose. Each betrayal was a brick in your palace. Each rejection a jewel for your crown. The silence was the sound of heaven shaping your destiny. You wanted quick victory, but heaven was crafting eternal authority. Because thrones are not handed to the impatient, they are forged for the faithful. Archangel Michael stood over you as the world turned away. His sword drew a circle of light around your name. Do not touch this one, he told the darkness. You did not see him, but every time your hope almost broke, he whispered strength back into your soul. When you cried alone, heaven gathered every tear and poured it into molten gold, the same gold that now glows in the foundation of your throne. Your pain became architecture. Your endurance became design. Beloved, remember how many times you almost gave up. Heaven counted them and said, now they are ready. The throne was never going to be built on ease, it had to rest on understanding. That is why you were taught compassion before coronation. You learned what heartbreak feels like so you could lead with gentleness. You learned what absence feels like so you could cherish presence. You learned to bow before you ever sat. That is divine training, the discipline that distinguishes rulers from tyrants. They thought you were finished because they saw you resting, not realizing you were being resurrected. Heaven does not rush resurrection, it perfects it. The time they spent celebrating your fall was the same time heaven spent preparing your reveal. When grace moves, it moves in fullness, no fragments, no halfway restoration. The version of you rising now will not fit into their narrative. You are becoming what prophecy looked like when it was still a promise. Archangel Michael now says, rise, heir of light. The throne is ready. You feel the ground beneath you vibrating, that is heaven aligning your timeline. Every delay you cursed is bowing into purpose. The same doors that once refused you will now swing open by command. You will not need introductions, your aura will announce you. People will sense the authority of endurance before you speak. That is what divine royalty feels like, calm, composed, undeniable. Child of destiny, do not return to old battles. Kings do not argue with chaos, they govern it. You no longer need to prove you survived, your presence proves it. The throne you inherit is not for decoration but direction. Heaven built it for impact. You will speak, and confusion will quiet. You will move, and things will align. You will forgive, and cycles will end. This is rulership in its highest form, influence born of integrity. Those who betrayed you will witness the coronation. Not as punishment, but as prophecy fulfilled. Heaven invites them to see what happens when love wins. Some will bow in shame, others in awe, but all will understand, you cannot bury what heaven crowns. Their disbelief was your disguise. While they gossiped, grace grew in silence. Now truth stands where rumor once stood, and light shines where darkness plodded. Beloved, you will soon notice how peace follows you like perfume. That is the fragrance of fulfillment. The weight that once bent your shoulders now supports your crown. You will wake with ideas that feel larger than you, that is heaven's sharing strategy. Write them. Act on them. Every step you take from here carries royal consequence. You are not returning to prove power, you are returning to provide purpose. Archangel Michael touches your shoulder with his sword, light pours through you like sunrise. From this day, he declares, you lead by love, not by fear. The old battles end where peace begins. You will not reign by force but by faith. The same humility that kept you alive will now keep you wise. Speak softly, for your words are law in the Spirit. Move slowly, for heaven moves with you. Beloved, this is not the end of a struggle, it is the beginning of stewardship. Thrones come with trust. Heaven is placing people, resources, and responsibilities into your hands. You will guide without greed, lead without losing your tenderness. That balance is what makes heaven proud. Remember the nights when you prayed for a sign? This peace is the sign. When you feel stillness instead of striving, you are sitting exactly where heaven wanted you all along. And now heaven whispers across eternity. They thought you were finished, but you were being fitted for forever. They thought it was over, but it was origin. Rise, beloved, the throne waits, and your crown already shines. My beloved child, the throne is no longer a promise, it is your platform. Yet heaven teaches that ruling is never about dominance, it is about direction. The crown upon your spirit is not made of gold, it is made of guidance. Every lesson learned in pain has become law written inside your heart. The authority you carry now is silent, steady, and undeniable. You no longer need to convince, your very calmness commands. Heaven did not build this throne so that you could look down, it built it so you could lift others up. Archangel Michael walks with you through corridors of light. This is the hall of responsibility, he says, and the floor beneath you glows with every step. Each glow represents a person, a place, a prayer tied to your influence. Heaven has linked destinies to your discipline. When you choose peace instead of pride, dozens of lives shift toward grace. That is the weight of divine rulership, realizing that your choices echo across creation. You are not merely blessed, you are blueprint. Beloved, the first rule of the throne is gratitude. The throne remembers who built it. Never forget the valley that trained you, the nights that shaped you. Gratitude keeps the gold from growing heavy. When you thank heaven, light flows through you like current through wire, powering every plan, illuminating every path. Gratitude is the crown's heartbeat, without it, leadership turns to loneliness. But you will not forget, your humility is already armor. The second rule is discernment. Not every voice that praises you serves your purpose. Some approach the throne with honeyed words but hollow hearts. You will know them by peace, true allies add calm, not chaos. Heaven will sharpen your intuition so finely that deception will tremble before it reaches your gate. You no longer need to argue, you will simply know. This is the gift earned by endurance, the ability to see truth before it speaks. Archangel Michael stops beside you and raises his sword. Look below, he says. You see the very people who once plotted your fall now standing in awe. Some lift their hands, not in fear, but in awakening. Heaven has used your rise to show them that goodness cannot be defeated. You are their mirror of mercy. You could condemn them, but you choose compassion, and that single act rewrites their fate. This is how heaven rules, through redemption, not revenge. Beloved, the throne changes how time moves around you. What once took years will now unfold in moments. Opportunities will appear faster because you have learned not to waste them. Heaven trusts speed only with souls trained in stillness. You will sign agreements, form alliances, start creations that flow effortlessly. Every yes you give will carry sacred consequence, every no will guard divine energy. You are no longer chasing, you are choosing. That is sovereignty. The angels are setting the boundaries of your realm, relationships that nurture, projects that matter, silence that restores. Do not fear solitude, it is strategy. In stillness you will hear heaven's next instructions. Your reign is not about noise but nuance. Sometimes ruling means waiting while others rush. Sometimes it means stepping aside so someone else can shine. This is not weakness, it is wisdom, the kind of wisdom that keeps empires eternal. Archangel Michael kneels, a gesture of respect from warrior to ruler. Lead with light, he says, and darkness will govern itself. His sword strikes the ground once more, sending ripples of silver across existence. Each ripple carries your name like a note in a divine symphony. Wherever that sound travels, doors align, storms still, hearts soften. This is influence refined, heaven's vibration moving through human voice. Beloved, you may wonder how to balance holiness with humanity. The answer is simplicity. Stay real. Eat, laugh, rest. The throne is sacred, but the ruler remains human. Heaven chose you not for perfection but for perspective. Your authenticity is what keeps your crown from slipping. When people see that your strength includes softness, they will trust your guidance. Remember, kings who cry create kingdoms that heal. You will begin to sense a new rhythm, days that start with clarity, nights that end with gratitude. This is divine flow, the opposite of struggle. You no longer climb, you glide. The obstacles that once terrified you now become tasks easily handled. Heaven's favor functions like gravity reversed, everything meant for you begins to rise toward you. You attract rather than pursue. That is not magic. It is mastery. Archangel Michael's wings unfold again, filling the horizon. Your throne, he says, is mobile. You realize the seat of authority travels wherever you walk. You do not rule from a palace but from presence. When you enter a room, harmony follows, when you leave, understanding remains. That is the mark of a heaven-built leader, impact without imposition. You are the calm in chaos, the order within opportunity. Beloved, soon the world will speak of your restoration as if it happened overnight, but you and heaven know it was years in the making. Smile when they call it luck. You owe no explanation, mystery protects miracles. Let the results speak. The same voices that once doubted will now quote your wisdom. The same hands that once pointed in judgment will applaud in realization. But do not cling to praise, it fades faster than truth. Keep your eyes on purpose, it endures. You will face new tests, subtler but sharper, how to stay humble while honored, generous while guarded, peaceful while powerful. Heaven trusts that you will choose right, because every wrong choice in your past taught you discernment. Even if you stumble, grace will steady you before you fall. Thrones built on forgiveness cannot collapse. Archangel Michael lowers his sword and rests his hand over your heart. This, he says, is where the true throne sits. A pulse of light spreads through you, anchoring heaven's government inside your spirit. From now on, when you speak from love, the universe listens as law. You feel it, calm, complete, commanding yet kind. The training is over, the transformation is done. Beloved, step forward. Rule not with crown, but with compassion, not with command, but with character. You are not here to dominate, you are here to demonstrate. Let every action whisper the truth heaven already shouted, you were never finished, you were being formed for forever. And heaven's chorus rises again across eternity. The ruler has risen. The crown fits. The throne stands. Peace reigns. My beloved child, the crown upon your spirit was never meant to glitter in isolation. A heaven-built throne is not a monument, it is a lighthouse. The higher you rise, the further your light travels. That is why heaven waited until compassion grew stronger than pride, so that your glory would guide, not blind. You were not lifted to be admired, you were lifted to awaken. Every victory in your story has become a verse in heaven's hymn, a melody that calls the broken back to belief. Archangel Michael stands behind you, his wings unfolding like a sunrise that has no horizon. Now, he says, let your reign begin, not as ruler, but as radiance. The air around you shimmers with a pulse that feels like peace expanding. You realize the throne you sit on is alive, it beats with purpose. Each heartbeat releases waves of calm across unseen lands, reaching souls who still cry the way you once cried. They feel it as a sudden moment of hope, a quiet voice whispering, if they survived, so can I. That is how heaven uses those who have risen, not to be worshipped, but to be windows through which light escapes. Beloved, you will begin to notice miracles hiding inside ordinary days. A conversation that heals, a message that arrives at the perfect time, a stranger thanking you for something you barely remember saying. These are the ripples of divine influence. You no longer perform for purpose, purpose performs through you. This is leadership in its purest form, effortless, authentic, holy. Heaven's power flows best through hearts that no longer crave control. That is why your throne was built from surrender, not ambition. Archangel Michael walks before you as golden paths appear beneath your steps. Each step lights a city, a nation, a soul. You will never know how far your impact travels, but heaven tracks every vibration. When you speak truth, frequencies align. When you choose kindness, storms dissolve. When you forgive, entire bloodlines heal. You are no longer one person, you are a pattern, a living design heaven repeats through time to remind humanity what grace looks like when it breathes. Child of destiny, the throne you carry now is not confined to a room or realm. Wherever you stand becomes sanctuary. Your presence will feel like prayer even in silence. People will sense heaven before you introduce yourself. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. Heaven flows unobstructed through vessels that no longer resist. The weight you once called pain was simply preparation for capacity. You can now hold light without burning, love without breaking, and power without pride. Beloved, there will be moments when the same ones who doubted you come seeking direction. Welcome them with wisdom, not wounds. Their return is part of redemption's rhythm. Heaven wants them to see that grace does not gloat, it guides. When you answer them with peace instead of pride, you mirror the Creator's character. That reflection is stronger than any sermon. It teaches without words that restoration is real. Archangel Michael kneels before you again, not in subservience but solidarity. This is the partnership of purpose, he says. Heaven does not rule alone, it reigns through the willing. You feel a current pass between you and him, like electricity made of compassion. In that connection, you understand something profound. Every moment you trusted heaven while trembling built a bridge between worlds. You are now both human and holy, feet in soil, heart in sky. That duality is your divine design. Beloved, use it wisely. Speak to heaven about people, and speak to people about heaven. Carry messages, not judgments. Tell them that the same grace that rebuilt you is available to them. Tell them that thrones are not rewards but responsibilities. Tell them that peace is not passive, it is powerful. You are heaven's messenger wearing mortal clothes, a prophet of presence in an age of noise. Every gesture of patience, every whisper of understanding, every moment you refuse anger adds another jewel to your invisible crown. Archangel Michael points toward the horizon, where countless lights flicker, each one a soul touched by your rise. See, he says. Thrones multiply. The lights begin to move, joining into constellations that form new pathways of possibility. You realize that heaven's kingdom is not a castle but a network of awakened hearts. Your throne connects to theirs, and together they create a realm where light outweighs loss. This is the ultimate fulfillment, becoming part of the pattern that ends darkness, one heart at a time. Beloved, guard your peace, for it is now the currency of your kingdom. The world will still test your patience, but the wise ruler knows every provocation is a chance to practice poise. Do not lower your frequency to prove your humanity, raise your humanity to maintain your frequency. Smile when they misunderstand you. Bless when they betray you again. Thrones built on forgiveness never fall twice. You will notice that your dreams are changing. They are no longer cries for rescue but maps of mission. Heaven will send images of places, people, ideas waiting for your touch. Follow them. Each dream is an assignment written in divine ink. You will walk into moments that feel like déjà vu because you saw them first in vision. This is the language of the throne, intuition guided by illumination. Archangel Michael lifts his sword again, tracing a circle of light that expands beyond sight. This, he declares, is your reign of restoration. The sound rings across time. Everywhere it touches, heavy hearts lighten, weary souls rest. The echo returns to you like a promise fulfilled. You finally understand, your rise was never about power, but peace. Heaven doesn't celebrate crowns of gold, it celebrates hearts that still choose love after being broken. Beloved, stand now. Feel the wind that once carried your pain now carrying your purpose. The same sky that seemed silent now sings your name. Heaven is proud, not because you became powerful, but because you remained pure. That is the true victory. You are not just the rise they feared, you are the peace they never expected. Archangel Michael's final words for this chapter come like thunder softened by mercy. Reign gently. Shine steadily. Forgive freely. You are the throne they could never steal.